Welcome back to the Painful Life. This is really part 2 of the crazy train, but it's been so long since I actually started this. It's pretty much its own video. The reasons why it took so long to get to this video is, well, one, my computer died. I also had a 31-day challenge, and I did not have the brain cells or the computer skills to do everything at once. And this computer was having a really hard time trying to do a video almost every single day. So I had to keep my videos extremely easy, basically just talking heads with nothing fancy. And so this video just kind of fell through the cracks. And so when I was finally done with the 31 challenge, I was completely burned out. I barely had the energy to even do my dishes, let alone videos and drawing. And it took about a month to get motivated to actually want to do something. But then, by that time, my computer decided, yeah, no, you're taking more time off. I did everything I could to try to get this stupid computer to work. I cleaned it out, I deleted files, I did everything I could think of, watched videos, nothing. All it did was get worse. Which forced me to actually use my laptop. Now, I was able to get some shorts done, but that was about it, because I was working with Video Chimp or Chimp Video or whatever the editing system that you get with Windows. It's simple, it's for free, and it's able to do some, small stuff. So if you already have a laptop that has Windows in it, you already have Chip Clip downloaded into your system, so you can do some basic stuff. But there was no way I could download DaVinci Resolve onto my laptop because it just was not powerful enough. I did not have the money to buy a new PC. Then my dad says, we do have a neighbor who builds servers for the hospital. He could probably tell you what's going on with this computer. Great. Now I just have to get out and meet people, and I have really hard time just getting out and meeting people or coming up to people and ask for help when I don't know them. And it took me about weeks to get the nerve just to walk it over to my neighbor's house. So finally, I just pulled up my big girl pants and just said, just go over there. The worst you can say is, sorry, I don't have the time. Go take it to a PC laptop person. So I introduce myself. Hey, I'm your neighbor. My dad. He goes to church with you every week. I have a computer. He said to talk to you, and well, it's not working. And this is going on with it. And well, he's like, okay. He walks over to my house, picks up my PC, asks me a couple questions, and says, all right, I'll take a look at it. I'll let you know what's going on and let you know if you want to update with anything, what you might need, and prices and stuff. So I went and picked it up the other day, and he goes, yeah, your heatsink wasn't working properly. It wasn't fully not embedded, but hooked up. Had it kind of loose. A couple of the wires were broken, and so that's probably where everything kept freezing and overheating. So I just tightened it down, added some resoldered some of the connectors, and let the computer do the rest of the stuff. There was a couple corrupted files, and well, this should be working now. I'm like, okay, cool, how much do I owe you? And he was like, it only took me 30 minutes, don't worry about it. I love having good neighbors. I went and bought him a gift card and just put it in his mailbox, so he got a $40 gift card at least. Take his family out. So I tested my computer yesterday by doing, the most scientific test. I played video games with some of my friends, and I had absolutely no problem. My computer didn't sound like a jet engine and didn't freeze, didn't scream at me or anything. So yay for neighbors. Now you're probably going, I don't need to hear your life story. I just want to see how you do this. Explain it to me. Well, I can't even remember what I did when I did this picture, so I'm just telling you my life story. If you don't like it, then there's other videos out there. Feel free to watch them. Now by now you're like, dude, I came here to watch art and learn something. Why are you telling me your life's challenges and all this fun stuff? I don't care. Well, I've kind of came to a decision that I am not going to be making money off this channel. So what's the point of doing this art channel? Well, it's to keep myself accountable. So if that means doing a vlog style, so I can look back later on and go, geez, I've come a long way. And maybe people out there will kind of learn from my mistakes and learn not to quit. Because doing YouTube when you have no experience, it's very daunting. All this stuff you have to learn. And a lot of it is the stuff you didn't really think that you would have to learn. Of course, I'm doing an art channel. I'm going to have to learn how to do art. Okay, I don't know how to do art. I can barely do a stick figure. I say as you're watching me do a freaking train that even to my eyes look pretty good. I need to zoom in on that picture. Hold on, let me get back to the editing system and enlarge my little train. Hold on. There we go. Much better. A little zooming in, a little deleting, and adding a little of a banner wipe. That's what you do to make it zoom in and look fancy like that. Here I am just using, I forgot, I actually used a quill and ink on this thing. What was I thinking? Actually, on this picture, I believe I actually used ink from like Speedball and some of the other ones as well. Not only did I outline the whole thing in quill and ink, I actually used a paintbrush and used colored ink to actually fill this thing in. And if I do say so myself, it actually turned out really nice. Now I just checked to see how many hours this video is, and it's like 4 hours worth. I'll have to fast forward through the rest of this inking. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I should probably add in the like and subscribe little thing. So let me switch back to the main editing of this thing, and I will add in the like, subscribe, maybe even add a little transition. So let's get back to the editing system and add some fancy stuff in. Okay, subscribe is added. Go to Fusion, take out background, add a little fade in and out, and you've got your subscribe button. Yay! I need to go and get some more B-roll that I can add into everything, like some subscribes and other stuff. Next up is to fast forward this film. I am gonna do a little cutting in the right after I stopped speaking to the other end where I kind of start adding in the color, and then I'm going to add a little bit of music to make it a little bit more jazzy. I'll see if I have anything of my favorite music. That's a little do 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 do. Maybe one of the train is coming type of song, since I am doing a train. Those are some of the things you think of when you're editing. What type of music will go with this picture or this activity if you're going to do a little fast forwarding so you don't make it as boring? Oh, that reminds me. I need to add some music to the intro as well. I don't even think I have an intro for this thing. I might just do a recording of myself saying, I'm going to do some editing and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, so feel free to add comments of how much you hate this editing. Because when you have a video that you want to put up that you have no idea what you did in that video, well, just make shit up. Cue the music and the satisfying fast forwarding. So back to the editing tab. I should take a picture of this screen. I had just finished doing the editing on this little thing, added all the music, and doing all the time stamping now, and after 4 hours video, I got it cut down into 2 hours. And I'm gonna keep it 2 hours because, well, If you want to, you can just put me in the background and I can get a little bit of watch hours, because I'm going to need them. Even if I never get monetized. Who cares? 2-hour video, you need some background noise? Enjoy. So this video ended up having a little me voiceover talking and a little bit of the original audio. So the audio is a little bit janky, but it's not awful. So I hope you enjoy the video. I know I enjoyed getting back into the swing of editing and relearning everything that I had learned before. And it's nice to finally get this video out. So I hope you're having a wonderful week or weekend. And don't worry if you don't finish the whole video. It's a long one. And I was going to just fast forward through it all, but I'm going to keep it as a extra long video. And if you make it to the end, make sure you put a timestamp at how far you make it. If you don't, that's okay. You know, put it on ×2, get it fast. If you got some cooking to do, put it on the background. It's kind of nice just watching this train kind of become colorful. So I hope you enjoy it and enjoy the rest of the video. I will probably pop in here and there because, well, I just like hearing the sound of my voice. Don't we all? That's why I become YouTubers, to hear ourselves talk. And hopefully help some people out along the line. Alright, let's go do some more time stamping and get this thing uploaded. Okay, this next section that's coming up, I actually did some talking throughout this video instead of just listening to something as I drew. So I'm going to keep the original audio. It is a little bit more rough because it's just using the mic on my phone, not as smooth as this wonderful mic I have right here. But we'll just keep that in mind. Alright, I got my couple. Alright, this is part 3. Got some different types of really, some of them are like really old, and I need to get a couple new paintbrushes, but this is what I got for right now. I'm going to do a little ink painting, and now I have not actually done this before. Well, I've done a little bit on one of my other paintings, not paintings, but pictures with the temple, and I had some, I kind of played around with this, with on the trees and everything. I had some watercolor up here. I might just use some watercolor for the flames. I haven't had a chance to buy any inks. Oh, crap. I was just doing that. I should have waited. I forgot to have in there. Lovely. Anyways, but yeah, I did some little kind of like the first time I actually did it was with, and I used some of this ink, watered it down, so I got different types of shades of gray, and then I used it to do the fencing, a little ghost in there, and then the tree itself, because I didn't want to use a bunch of ink just sketching like I was doing on this one. I decided I actually wanted to try that out, and so that's what I'm gonna hope I can reproduce here. Oh, I totally forgot to finish that up. Let's see if I can use my quill really quick. I'm getting shy-tacked easily. I'm gonna put this over here. So if you see me reaching over here, I'll try to edit my arm out. I could probably put it on this side a little bit. Might be a little easier. But let's get this. But yeah, whenever you're doing something new, and this one, I probably should have practiced on some like sample stuff, because, well, I don't like practicing. I'd rather just do a picture and learn as I go, because if I practice, and then it's like, oh, I gotta set time for practicing, and but then I have to do all this other stuff, and so I'll just do it next time when I got some time to practice, and I never do it. So if I'm gonna make a video, I'll try to learn as I go. Hopefully, you know, that works for me. It might not work for you. You might have to be the type of personality who has to practice before they take the next step on a picture. Me, I have some practice sheets that I start with, you know, here and there a little bit, but not that much. I'll like do a page of practice, and then I'm like, okay, time to go on to the next. Let's go on to the project and let's make a picture, you know. And usually I find if I do a picture, because it usually takes long enough, you know, I'm going to screw up a couple times in the picture. But by the time I get some of the pictures done, I've learned enough to kind of make it look somewhat cool. And, well, hopefully by the end of this, I don't screw this up too much. I'm going to try to teep it. I'm going to try to pretend it's like watercoloring, go light and then dark. Because if you have too dark going style, you can't make it go lighter, not with ink. So let's get a little bit of a dipping of the ink. Don't drop that under. But I have my little jar of ink. I have a little palette thingy. Got some paper. Got my picture up there. I'm going to put that here. So I'm going to put a little bit of water. I'm going to put a little bit of ink in each of these. I'm going to try to dilute it down. Each one a little bit easier, or a little less. And also this water has pretty much been pre-used as well. And so hopefully I can water this down enough. I might need to... Too bad I don't have a syringe. I do somewhere, but it's not in here. I'm gonna probably regret this. Probably should use fresh water. And let's go do that. Let's do smarter, not harder. Got me a jar of fresh water, and what do you know? I do have a dipper. I forget I had one of these I just cleaned out. Okay, I'm gonna do a voiceover on this section because, well, I have a tendency to mumble a lot on these videos as I am thinking. This time I'm gonna actually try to work from the top to the bottom, and one of the reasons I'm just doing a voiceover because I have a metal mixing tray for my ink, and every time I touch it, it rattles and it sounds really annoying. And I don't like a lot of excess sound. It irritates me. I can't stand watching any like food videos or those satisfying AMR videos. They bug me. So I'm not going to have any of that stuff in my video, or at least minimum. I do know I start out with a very watered down gray and just kind of fill in the whole train because you want to start light and work your way up. Also, it helps if you actually let the train dry. Now, this ink is not waterproof. It's kind of water resistant, so if you add too much water, it will kind of reactivate. So you have to keep that in mind. I've been trying to find a good waterproof ink that I can use, or water resistant, so I can do kind of a white wash, light wash like this over the top, or watercolor, and not have it bleed too much. That's just, something by buying products and trying which one works, and over time you kind of figure it out. I'm gonna skip ahead, or maybe do a little fast forwarding of just filling in this ink section of the same color. You don't need to see me doing it the whole thing, but basically it's just the lightest watered down ink. Basically it's kind of just taking some ink, putting in a water jar for washing it, and using that. I've been using a lot of the chimp clip editing on my videos, and it is really nice to have a system that can fast forward to the extent as this can. The other editings, you can do it like 2 times. Then I have to cut everything up. So it's really nice to be back on DaVinci Resolved, where you can fast forward a lot, and it actually looks pretty good. You can actually do a lot more with the system. So if you have a more powerful PC, get to DaVinci Resolve. It takes a while to figure it out, but it's so much nicer when you do. And of course, I'm still figuring out there's so many buttons on this thing. Well, right now I am adding a little bit extra color. I've decided to add a little bit of purple. I think I added a little like reddish, bluish stuff with some of this other ink till I find like the color, found a color that I liked. And I'm using this for the shadows just to give it a little extra, something extra. And then I'll keep layering on top of it the more dark areas, like this area right here where you see the darker outlines. I'll start adding darker colors to them. Also, these little areas that are on the top parts of these shelves will give it a little extra darkness to it to give it more of a 3D look. So when you're looking at your paintings to, add a little extra to them, make sure you see where the shadows are first, and add a little bit of color at a time. You can always add more later, so I'd always go with a light wash of gray or whatever is the main color of the scene, and then add a little bit extra of the same tone, a little darker. You can see I have some of the purple in there, so once I go over it with some other colors, it'll probably make it a little bit darker. At least that was the idea. I wasn't entirely sure. I was still playing around with this picture, figuring out how these ink flow. And they kind of flow a lot like watercolor, but a little bit more intense and a little less watered down. And depending on how much water you add to one is, how much of a pigment you're going to get. Also remember, this does start to get wet, so make sure you're drying in between between them because I got a lot of wrinkly on this page because I was way too impatient. And I keep saying because way too much. Once again, I'm going to do a little fast forwarding of this layer so we can kind of see what it looks like at the very end of this, just this layer of the darker color. And then we'll come back and maybe talk a little bit if I can think of anything to say. As I'm going through this video the first time, I have not added any music by this time. This is usually the last thing I do when I'm editing. I'll go through, cut it up, add all the voiceovers and all that stuff, and then before I output it or download it into my computer, I will add the music and go and double check all my extra add-ins like text and that type of stuff. So when you are editing, just remember, you don't have to do it all in one pass. Get one section done at a time and probably take some notes and make a list of checks that you want to have add-ins. I actually have a little piece of paper that I write all my B-roll ideas that I want to get done and all of my description things I need added in and my timestamps. So usually when I finally get everything done, all the music in, and just before I upload it, I will go through again and write down all the timestamps to add into my description. Plus, if I'm talking about any particular people or products, I will add their description and or link in my description. So these are some of the things you kind of want to remember to do, and it's really good to have a piece of paper or something you might print up on Canva. Where's mine? I don't know where my paper is. I kind of been redoing it. I might do a video on editing and descriptions and some ideas to keep yourself organized, because when you're learning all this stuff, you don't realize how much you have to remember to get into your description, into your videos, the likes, the subscribes, if you have a sponsor or a paid product, to remember to put that stuff in, especially if you're by yourself and you don't have a lot of editors and other people who double check all these things. It's a lot to remember. So I do recommend that you print up some sort of like template with all the stuff you need in your videos. Your hooks, your likes and subscribes, when to add them in, if you have any B-roll, what you need to film or what you can find online. So if you're doing any type of video that's more than just a talking head or things that you don't really need a whole lot of extras in it, that you can just kind of do by the seat of your pants. But if you want to do more detailed or types of videos that possibly will make you money, you need some sort of reminders and setups, which I'm really bad at doing. It's these things that you go, I really should have some sort of setup to kind of get all the things I need in one go, so I'm not just rambling and flailing into the dark. But, well, where's the fun in that? So, back to the painting, so I'm not just rambling about random stuff. This whole video is way over the place, and you're probably like, what's she talking about? She's talking about doing art, she's talking about editing. Yeah, I'm just talking about whatever today. But, yeah, back to the painting. Going into making these steams or the clouds, I didn't do a full wash like I did with the train itself. I actually kind of made shapes, so it'd have, different depths, and you can kind of go in and refine, adding more shapes, because this is all going to be like the steam or the fire afterward. And so I also wanted to see where my horizon lines are and all that fun stuff. And now I'm kind of going over again with a little bit extra grays and browns and purples now that the center of the train has dried a little bit. So all you're doing is just layering. You'll layer in one section, go off to another section as one dries and comes back. And just doing a little darker each time so you're not filling it all in with one color. Because it's easier to add your colors than try to take them away. Because once they're there, it's pretty much stained. This kind of gives me an idea to do a watercolor using nothing but natural colors like coffee and maybe beet water and that type of stuff. It'd be kind of cool project. Note to self. Okay, I'm going to fast through some of this darker stuff and we'll come back when we start adding a little color to this train so it looks more like the one on the left. This next section will be the original audio as well, so let's get into it. Alright, a couple days later, we're back to our painting. I stopped by Hobby Lobby and got us a couple of ink. I got some red and some yellow. I figure I can mix them together and make an orange and have pretty much all the colors I need with the white. Have all the colors I need to make the flames up on top and on bottom. So I might try to do a little bit of the flame, at least up here, in the next little while. And then I'll start working on some of the darker stuff. I also got a new paintbrush. With sticky stuff on it. I have a very long and fine point on it. And so hopefully I can get some, maybe use these for drawing or some very fine line stuff. Something I wanted something in between. And then I have a nice little pointed one as well. And we will be using some of them maybe. And I think I took the plastic protector off because I didn't realize this thing was held on with just like wire. I might have to get some clay, like the stuff that you mold and it will harden, and maybe just do a little handle around here and have it clay to my fingers, and then that way I can use both the end, and if I need some little detail I can kind of get a little closer as well. And I won't have these little metal things hurting my hand. Just got these over at Hobby Lobby. They had their everything 40% off type of sale going on, so I figured I'd pick up a couple little Master Touch cheapies to get started. Let me get my number. Between all these brushes, I think we'll be able to do something with this. So let's get some water over here and some paintbrush. My dad's probably gonna be calling me here. Let's dismiss the alarm clock so it doesn't go off. Let's just do a little bit of mixing. I'm gonna just get the cheapy one for now. We'll just see, just straight up. Actually, I'm gonna see what it looks like straight up. Very bright. Wee, very neon. That's the yellow, straight up. Oh shoot, I just dropped that right on the carpet. It's okay, this is crappy carpet. I knew I was gonna get some color put onto it. It's turning more orange. Let's make it a little more orangish yellow. Oh, there's a nice orange. I don't need a lot of that red. A little bit of that red goes a long way. Neon. That is very blood red. This is one cool color though. I like that. It's kind of a mango color. And I'm going to add a little bit of white to that and get a pink. There's a nice pink. So between all these colors, I can get some decent colors going. Got some yellow, freaking neon yellow. We'll just add a little extra water to some of these. And I am going to have to clean this a little bit later. But get some nice bright colors with that. My dad will probably be coming down here shortly. And I got paint all over me. Alright, so we're going to work on the little fire stuff first. So I'm going to do a little bit more yellow. I'm going to do just a tiny little dollop. And we're going to water that thing down. do this without making a mess. Let's make sure we don't have any water, then I'm gonna start over. So I'm gonna have just some strands, a little bit of here and here, just near the bottom. And then we'll go from that to, also this is very bright, so we're gonna wanna add a little bit of that yellow here. Then I want to water some of this down even more. It has kind of a halo effect around it, so we're gonna very watered it down. Let's put the lid on it so I don't dump it all over my computer, because you know I'll do that. And then it's got a little bit of light over here, just around it, but it's not as intense. Oops. I gotta remember not to let that. I remember this is supposed to be permanent, but it's not quite. Bleh. Bleh. I can have it just a little bit more. I'll come over here a little bit later and get some of that. I have some white. I'll come over here with a little bit of white. Make sure I'm careful around the ink because it will reactivate. So I've got to be very gentle on the. Let's see if I can. It's not paint, so I don't know how well it will work, but we'll give it a try. I might need to let that dry before I actually add the white, but we'll see. Now I could probably put a little bit of reflection on it. Cool. All right. But we'll have to remember that. Put the lid back on so I don't spill it. And let's do a little bit of orange. I like this brush, so I'm gonna have some orange put into it. Kind of have it some twirl a little bit. Going into the other fire. I have no idea what I'm doing, so yeah. If you see your fire engine having flames come out of the top, you might want to call someone. I don't know why I made it pink, but I'll probably come in here and layer some yellows in there as well. See if I can. This is mainly for me to practice. I'll have to look at some fire pictures as well. I'm gonna have a little bit of highlight underneath some of these. I'm assuming we're gonna get some reflections in the smoke, especially the ones closer to the fire. This is actually kind of more the fog, and it's more yellowish than red, so I'm gonna have a little bit more kind of that watered down. I'm gonna get a bigger brush. Let's not make myself working harder than I need to. Add a little bit water to this, kind of spread it out. That might be a little bit too much color. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. I ain't really talking much, just mumbling. So let's fast forward to the next section. It is kind of looking cool though. This picture really did turn out pretty good, if I do say so myself, and I do. The only issue is it took forever, and it's taken even longer to finally edit this part of the video. I think I started this project back in May, and it is going to be October. So yeah, well, it gets out this year sometimes. I guess so that's good. Alrighty. Now we're going to try to get started on the main body. I'm going to try to explain what I'm trying to figure out or do. First off, let's kind of work smart this time. Let's start from the top and work our way down. Also, I want to see if I can make these a little less fireballish. I'll probably do a final thing of the smoke and stuff, see if I can blend it up a little bit. Now, if I had this more watercolor-ish, I probably would get a watercolor. This is a watercolor paper. It's not the best quality and stuff, you know, because I'm just working with what I have and trying not to replace until I get it all done, and everybody keeps buying me lower level stuff, which, you know, hey, it's free stuff. Free practice, that's fine. But I want to start getting some higher end papers and things for watercolor. But now that my drawing and the other stuff is starting to get a little bit more realistic, I guess. So we're just gonna gradually just, you know, add stuff in. But as the picture, which hopefully I'll have it up on the screen here, it's actually fog, but it has like the light behind it, and this looks more like a fireball than actually fog. So I might come back in here with some with some darker ink and just try to do some whips in it, see how I can do it without screwing it up too much. As I'm looking at this picture, it looks like this is actually orange. So we'll kind of come in here and do some painting. It'll probably be a little more on the yellowish side over down here, so I might just lift some of that up so it's a little more yellow around here. And I gotta make sure I'm gonna have to replace some of my inks with some more permanent ones. This is stuff that I got just from Hobby Lobby, and it works. It's good enough, but it's one of those ones you might want to add after the fact and not actually the ink is better to lay on top and then try to paint over it. Yeah, so it works perfectly just for calligraphy or kind of highlighting certain things. This is probably not the best little thingy because it's kind of, this is actually one of my grandmother's paintbrushes. I don't know what that is. Trying to get the darker oranges on the outside. There we go. Not too bad. You can always let that dry and then layer some more on it, and maybe just do some almost reddish highlights because it kind of still has some of the yellow coming through it. I had to mix some yellow and orange, yellow and red, make that little color, so yeah, that's fine enough. Oh, that is dark. I need some more water in that. Where's my little dabber? Oh, that's more purple. That's the purple one. That's, let me see, where's a piece of paper I can use? Okay, that's kind of the dark purplish black. And it might need a little bit more water to it. Might use that just a tiny bit where I have some of this the plum color. And I want a slightly different color, so when I add the lines and everything, this is kind of muddied purple. It's really hard to try to get something that's about the same color as the one before. Try to use kind of the And I'm kind of playing around, seeing if I want to have it more wispy and broken type of lines like that, or if I want to have it just more solid. And this is fine because this is kind of practice. So that one's really dark, so I might darken up the top a little bit as well. You know, where they have some of this purple, I'll kind of add some of this purplish black. Now I do have I went and bought a new brush, and it's very, very thin. And so hopefully I can use that for some of these lines once they dry a bit. This will be good for like fine lining and that type of things. I'm gradually adding some different brushes in because some of the ones I have are very old and they've been used on ceramics, so they're kind of frayed a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can just add a little bit of water to this to kind of pull this out and make it a little kind of like with a water paint type of stuff. Kind of layering it. So I want to kind of soften the edges so they're not so they kind of spread out a little bit. So I might want to actually add a little bit more water to some of these. Probably should have started on this side. And then just kind of dab it in the corners and watch it spread. Let's see. Oh, I am kind of learning both ways. I can always come back and pick some of it up using some cotton swabs or something like that. So, you know, when you're doing something like brand new like this with new techniques and new drawing and everything, you know, just kind of pay attention to what everybody kind of does in certain types of branches, and you might find something that actually works for what you're doing. Since I'm working with inks and stuff, I'm kind of treating them more like watercolor. Or trying to, and I don't even have a whole lot of experience with watercolor, and I'm, you know, so this is still kind of a learning stuff for both, and that kind of turns out really nice. So that's something I might want to do. But you don't really know what you need to do with any type of project until you actually just kind of do it and not be afraid to ruin your projects. Because when you're afraid to ruin them, then you're gonna do too carefully and you're not really, you know, you might, it just ends up being one-dimensional. So just don't be afraid to screw up your stuff. If it screws it up, well, then you have to learn how to do some techniques to blend them. And that's just another opportunity to learn something else. Because sooner or later, you're going to screw up something, so best to do it in stuff you really don't care too much about. Oop, I didn't put any water down. Oopsie. And I'll just use this as the medium. Get in the darker corners. Whee! Okay, that's a lot. That is a lot. And it doesn't help that these things kind of buckle. Like I said, it's not the best paper. And I don't really know how to prep paper. That's something I will probably need to learn about to help keep it flat. I know there's certain things, certain, you know, professional watercolor people do, or it could just be whatever they're using that really helps them along. So it might just be this paper that I'm using, because it's not really full on cotton, it's actually just paper. Okay, I'm going to kind of go around these little divots because I want them darker. This is going to be these are kind of dark, but the outlines are actually in this, and like I said, it's probably AI, are slightly darker. The insides are darker, but I'd rather go slightly lighter and then just add the darkness to it as needed. And I still kind of like this purple color. Ooh, a little bit goes a long way, so let's just use this. It came out a lot. I have to pick some of that up. Let's see if I can pick that up with a dry brush. Yeah. Guess it's kind of good to have a dry brush. Get a little bit of a dry brush on hand. Now with these these inks, they are easily reactivated with water. They are not waterproof. They do leave a stain on my tray, but that's fine. Yeah. Oops, make sure I don't water them on these. And my water in here is kind of a muddy brown as well, so if you're doing something that's a little more color sensitive, you might want to have a separate clean water thingy. But since this is all dark, it don't really matter too much. Okay, I put it in here, let it just a dab. And that I'd probably fill in with. Yeah, so you can kind of see the difference between the ones that already has a little bit of water on it to the ones that don't. And that's a little too dark. I might just kind of blend it up a little bit. Dark is kind of dark under here, so I'm gonna kind of let it blend on the bottom. So let's see what it kind of looks like just by adding a little bit and letting it go. You can tilt it a little bit and kind of leave some of the areas that are not. Just kind of have to remember where you added water as well. And once you get some of the stain in there, you can always come back and lift a little bit up so you can still see some of the detail with your dry brush. And just add a little bit of kind of some flowy water just to kind of flow it out a little bit. And then up here, it's almost a shape kind of like that. Underneath it's a little more dark. So I might just kind of dip it into more and see how far up. Like I said, you can always come back with the brush and try to pick some of it up if it's too dark. I want to still kind of see some of the rivets. I might have to come by with a little bit of white paint where the rivets are to highlight them a bit. And let's see if I can I might even come in with some of the darker things right under it a little bit, or some of that purple right underneath to kind of give it a little extra color. See if I can blend it in a little bit. Don't know, haven't done it, so I'm trying it. And like I said, I don't care if I mess this thing up, because this is a new process. I've never done it before, and this is just to see. And I might remake this later down the line when I've learned more stuff, maybe in a year. Remake the train and see if I can make it a little more flowy. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of playing around with shadow, and because this is really only the way for you to learn. And then I do know that there are actually rivets all the way around here. I'm gonna have to let that dry. I really want to see if I can get this kind of a little darker around the thing so it's not all. And I just might use the water to kind of give it a little extra, because the water's already pretty dark anyway, so. So it's kind of lighter here. And there's a little bit of shadow. I don't know why. I think it's just the highlight of that, but it kind of looks. I'm going to add it a little bit right to the edge, because there's a little bit of a lip. But there's not a whole lot. You can always come back here and layer. Just make sure you don't oversaturate your drawing. Whatever you might be doing that's kind of dark colored. Either way, even if it's not in my head as it should be, it still kind of looks cool. It still looks kind of cool. These are almost a bluish. I'm gonna add just a little bit of water right here. Oops. I'm gonna muddy them up just a little bit and darken that section here, because having it completely white is kind of looks weird. I can always come back with some white and add some highlights up here as well. I'm going to add a little bit of that right here, where there might be some little bit of this kind of rounded. I don't know if you can see in the picture, but this kind of, since it's the domed, we're going to add a little bit of doming to it. And yeah, kind of going back. All right, so that's looking good. Now this area probably needs to be darkened up a little bit more. I know I haven't even done the center. I'm going to come back and do some full-on black around where the divots are. And the last one will probably be all the line work. And this is actually kind of lighter, but it's more gray. So I still kind of like the start adding a little bit of a layer of grayish black, and then just add more to it. And add some highlights wherever it might need it later on down the line. These are really dark right here, and then these ones are a little bit lighter, so I'll kind of do the gray right here, where these steps are. The tanks themselves are very dark. And up here is kind of really dark as well. So let's just start, just layer. We'll come back a little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit of fast forward as I just add some more layers of shadow and darken up wherever I see in the picture that might need a little bit more dark without hopefully going overboard. So I will probably fast forward a little bit through this section. Since I forgot these divots right here, actually I just did it a little bit darker and then just came back with a fine liner and just did a little bit of coloring underneath it anywhere that I want to use. Also up here I might want to do some little divots as well, and then I'll fill those in a little bit, and I'll do it a little bit underneath it so it's kind of just kind of an idea of a divot. Yeah, am I calling it right? The little, it's not the divot, it's the insert word where they use the little, not screws, but you know, the power compression to make the little thingy-mabobbers. I'll remember later on. But I'm going to come back and give that a little bit of a darker. Now all of this this ink I'm using is all watered down. I haven't used full-on black. I will probably a little bit later. So I'm just gradually watered it down and adding a little bit less watered down as I go. And probably where these purples are, I probably want to darken them some too. I might leave a little bit of that purple showing, so just kind of, I'll go one side. Probably be good with some bluish highlights. I'm doing more purplish. Added more blue to some of it to add some more tints of kind of on top. Hopefully this, make sure I add some water to it. Some of the up on the top. And on the areas that looks like a little bit more light hitting it, I'm going to try to add a little bit of more, some bluish highlights. See how that looks? Kind of a still blue, adding to that purple. Yeah, just play around and darken it as you need. That actually kind of grayish blue might be kind of cool in here too. I'm gonna actually do a little more. Yeah, I'd have to go full on black to kind of highlight some of those, but let's see if we can get some
different colors in here as well.
As I fast forward through this little section, now this video is probably going to be a little longer than most of my videos. I had originally planned to kind of turn it into a short or a smaller video and just have some pleasant music, but there's a lot of stuff that I got done on this, so I figure I'd let it stay a little bit more long form this time.
Alright, I'm gonna do some full-on black. Let's hopefully I don't mess this up. Kind of, I want to have a little bit of light. So I'm just kind of thickening the lines a little bit. Anywhere that I might want to highlight or have some more dark lines to kind of, because some of this kind of got not mush, but you know, but I still want a little bit of light on them because you're still getting reflecting off of the edges where they might have a little bleed over. I might add a little bit of extra and then just kind of go lighter in the center or just pull some of it in. And I might actually just kind of do the black right under it to leave the rails kind of highlighted, just to kind of clean everything up. Alright, I'm trying a couple different ways to do this if I want it to kind of look more like getting pushed by the air from the train. Oops, it's not gonna doblet. And then also when these kind of dry, they kind of lighten up a little bit. I love this brush. I'm just using all the different types of, be it really liquidy down. I can also come back in here with some, like near the edges, just some water. And come in with some a little darker full-on black. Pull it up, roll it up, pull it up. Kind of do the watered down ones in the background, and then the full-on dip. Then come in and add some, let's make sure we get that. Just kind of flicking to kind of make it look like wheat. Now, you don't need one of these brushes. You don't need to make it wheat. You could also use the pen to do the same type of fill, depending on, just kind of go from the bottom and flick up. That way it will taper. Because if you go from the top down, it'll just be a line. So make sure you taper. And you can also add, sure I'm not going to get my hands things, you can make it a little bit thicker. You know how they have like on the wheat fields and stuff where they have like the seeds at the very bottom. So you can kind of do that. There's some extra long ones. Whoop, that's a thick boy. See, now I'm getting in a hurry. I shouldn't do that. I need to slow down. This is how you screw up your art. Okay, dollop, and up, dollop, and up, dollop, 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 dollop. This is also a way for you to see what type of tools you enjoy working with. And I really like this look of it with the ink. I'll probably do it a little more watercolor next time and then just kind of add some of the darker ones instead of more on lines. But it kind of gives you ideas on how you want to do things later on. And that actually looks kind of cool with the fire smoke behind it and having this on top. And you could probably outline the whole train a little bit if you wanted to. That's an idea. And then just kind of blend it out a little bit. Or not. But you don't know what you like until you give it a try. Looks about, I'm going to add a little bit extra over. Whoops, a big old dollop. So a couple darker ones over here. I'm going to actually add a little bit of stuff here down the bottom and make it really dark. So it's not just a line. Sometimes you just need to stand back from your painting after a little bit, walk away for 5 minutes, and then walk back and decide, hey, this is enough? Or am I just putting stuff in because I feel like I need to? You can always kind of play around with your, if you want to do kind of the heavy in some sides, probably a little heavier line on the, near the stuff. You can also come in with some browns and stuff and do it, but I think I'm gonna have to call this good. I don't want to keep on doing more to it and get it all more muddy, and so right now I'm actually kind of pleased with it. I figure if I come back and do more stuff to it, it'll muddy it. But I'm actually enjoying, I really like the stalks with the fire fog behind it type of stuff. Almost looks like there's a sunrise behind it. Like this is all pew, and the smoke coming out of the stacks is blocking out a sunrise. And the sunrise is like right behind the train. I probably would have if I were to do this again, I'd probably have it almost all the way across, maybe put a little bit of mountain or something like that, but instead of just the two circles, I'd probably do it one full circle behind it, so it looks like the sun is rising up behind it. And this thing's like running into the green, and then having the stalks come up here, because I kind of do like the way that looks. And then you have the fog. I kind of like the inky kind of drawing of. I'm gonna put these in there. The different layers. I have like the blues and some of the purples in there, and the grays, and just the dirty water gray type of stuff in there. Having it come up here, I probably more define the top part. I probably have to play around with doing clouds and fog and smoke and stuff to see how to get them to blend and look right. But overall, I think it turned out pretty good. And the train, actually, I'm really happy with the train. Probably wouldn't do an outline like that. I'd probably just leave it plain and simple. But that's why you do these things, to see what you like. And this is my crazy train. I wish I would have left a spot here with the first squirrel running from it or something like that. Because this is the crazy squirrel train. Anyways, well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate everybody who stops by. I know this is probably going to be a long one. I'm not sure if it's going to be voiceovered or I'm just going to kind of cut it up because I don't really have a good mic. So either or. I'm kind of learning and going. But this is... words. Stall. Alright. This is mainly hopefully you can figure out if you're approaching a new project which you've never done in your life, working with like inks, like watercolor type of stuff, because I have a lot of different types of inks and I enjoy doing it, and making like a train. This is the first time I've actually drawn a train, and if you're doing stuff, use the easiest things that you can for yourself. This is definitely not an easy draw, but don't go and get something with like fading off in the distance with like a couple trains behind it, going to a vanishing point stuff. If you're doing something you've never done before, do simple and then go a little more difficult next time. But yeah, just kind of start from the center, block yourself off. I usually kind of do a center line here and there, or wherever the point of view is, because you're kind of looking up at this train. And so you're going to have most of the shadows in certain areas and stuff like that, which I'm still kind of learning. And the different shadowing, don't be afraid to use different colors, a purple for a shadow instead, purples and blues for like the steel kind of color, and just kind of play around with it. And don't be afraid to screw up. That's the most important thing. If you're too afraid to screw up, you won't start. So just get started and just realize, hey, I could screw this up and this could end up in the trash. You can actually just take this and throw it in the trash right now. Just assume you're going to be throwing it in the trash. So that way you're going to take more things, you're going to try new things, and who knows, you actually might enjoy it. So just go out there and create something. Draw your own crazy train. If you want to, do a step-by-step, and if you do one of these crazy trains, you don't have to do it in ink. If you have some colored pencil, use it colored pencil. If you have just some plain old liner, do it in liner. If you want a rainbow train, do it in rainbow colors. Do it wherever you want. I would love to see it. I have an email in the description, painful78. I would love to see a picture of it. Get it done and send it to me. I would love to share it. And if you guys make your own crazy train or any other type of art project, I will freaking post it. Go and make sure you share your art with your family, your friends, and me. I love to see what you guys create. So I'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody who's given a new YouTuber a chance. And I will see you next time. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. So, if you have some other people who are artists, even if you're not an artist, you have a friend who's an artist, make sure you share the link and help all of us brand newbies out here. And I will see you next time. Love you all. Bye.